All right, welcome in, everyone. It is time for Total Bases, the last show of the regular season. But we're going to be here with you guys all through the playoffs, so don't worry. Total Bases isn't going anywhere. We'll just have less teams to talk about. But the way we do this show, that's not going to really be an issue until like the LCS round, because we're only getting 6 games or so each day. We're going to deep dive into them. So as always, jump in the comments. We will talk about the games that you guys want to talk about. But I'm going to start with, there's still a couple of very meaningful games. And so I'm going to start there. We'll go from there. Bryan, Leonard, we kind of knew that the Tigers were going to get one, or at least felt like they had to get one at some point. Yesterday, we pointed out some really good value on the Tigers in that game. If you dared to take a shot with them, they get the win. They even it up in the AL Central. There's now everything to play for going into the weekend, and they're up against another team that still has some work to do, I believe. The Red Sox I think they still need at least one win, maybe two, to fully clinch the wild card spot. This game's out at Fenway Park, Tigers, Red Sox. Is this the time you start to jump in with the Tigers?
Yeah, I think Boston advances if they get a win tonight, or if Cleveland loses, I think is how it works out. But we'll see how it goes. Mine's against Harrison. Harrison, the lefty. He's the guy that came over from San Francisco in the trade. He was what they wanted, and he's pitched pretty well for the Red Sox so far. Mize has been a guy, we talked earlier in the season. We've never been that huge of a fan of his, but he was highly drafted, and he's putting together a pretty good season. I got to give him some credit in that regard. We've got Harrison about a 117, 118 favorite, and the total is 8.5 to the over. When you take a look at the StatCast page, we'll take a look at Mize here. Mize comes in 3.91 ERA, 3.76 expected, 1.28 WHIP. WHIP is still career at 1.29. You need to lower that by at least get it down to at least 120 at the most. But his walk rate, 85th percentile, extension 89th, but everything else is basically league average, slightly lower. Does throw the 5 pitches, four-seamer 34% of the time. When it comes to Kyle Harrison, since we haven't had a chance to talk to him about him a whole lot this year because he's only thrown 32 innings, but he comes in with a 3.58 ERA, 3.89 expected, 1.19 WHIP. In his career, 9-9, 4.32 ERA, 1.28 WHIP, and that was pitching in good pitcher's park, which is San Francisco. So you got to take that with a little grain of salt. As I mentioned, only 32.2 innings so far this year, so nothing is really stabilized as of yet. He does have pretty good extension, 72nd percentile. His chase rate's been pretty good. Everything else about league average or so. So the pitchers are very comparable in this one. The thing is with Harrison, he throws 4 pitches, but he throws his four-seamer 60% of the time. And it averages 94.8, which is 1.7 miles an hour faster than the normal left-hander. So it's a pretty good fastball, but still, I think he relies on it too much. When I'm looking at this game here, I think it's pretty much priced correctly. Detroit, still don't trust their hitting. Boston hasn't been the same since Anthony's gone out. Don't know if I want to get involved here, but hopefully it'll, being a Cleveland fan, it'll go many innings, and some of these pitchers will get tired for the rest of the series. But other than that, I've got nothing on this one.
Hey guys, back in Japan, and one thing I picked up while I was in the US is a little bit of apple fireball. Pretty excited to try that. Haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to try it on the show. So anyways, go to wagertalk.com and see what we have to offer. Many of us put free plays up. Just click free plays. There's at least 12 out there from all the cappers. So check out wagertalk.com. Regarding this game, yeah, Tigers were in a slump, big slump, like panic slump. But they kind of turned that around yesterday. Well, I don't know if it's all turned around. Casey Mize, guy that I don't really trust. He's got terrible numbers against Boston in his career. 33 at-bats against, a 3.03 average against, and a 9.88 OPS. And if you heard me on previous shows, 750 is what I consider extremely average. So he's not good against these batters. And I got Boston hitting top 10 in current form. As a matter of fact, I have Boston a little bit better than Detroit at almost everything, but just a little bit better. Boston's better at every single category, and yet the overall evaluation, they're only 5 points better than Detroit. So not enough for me to play it. If anything, maybe an over. Harrison, like Bryan said, the pitchers are pretty comparable. Harrison's been good since Boston picked him up, but if you notice, he never goes past 5 innings. So maybe his innings total under, if you can get a 15.5 for Harrison. But overall, I'm probably going to stay away from this one. Although it'll be good. It's good ramifications and good entertainment. I don't know if it's good betting.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about Kyle Harrison for a second because that's the most interesting part of this game to me. I think it's also what kind of makes my handicap. Whether I'll play it or not, I'm not sure. But listen, the Red Sox had every reason to sort of rush Harrison up, or not rush him up, because of course Kyle Harrison's he's still young, but he's not like a prospect, not a rookie. I mean, he was up with the Giants in parts of multiple seasons at this point. So, they make this trade like out of the woodwork. They trade Rafael Devers, and Kyle Harrison's the guy you're getting back. And you're getting blasted by your fan base for the move. A lot of organizations might have felt pressure to sort of get him up and hope that he could go out and be good, just so they could say, see, like, this is who we got back in return. And and there was spots for them to potentially do that. Like, that's the other thing. There was times where they needed another starter, and they went Peyton Tolle, Connolly early. I think even on a couple of different occasions brought Criswell back up. So, like, the reason I'm bringing that up is they really protected Harrison in that regard. And the reason I think they did that goes back to something Bryan has talked about multiple times on this show, where the Red Sox, when they get a pitcher, they're trying to make you a certain way. And then if you're not doing that, you get Quinn Priester, a.k.a. just thrown out on the street, because that's what they tried to do with Priester. They grabbed him from the Pirates organization. He went down to Worcester. He probably didn't want to do what they were doing in terms of like throw the pitch mix that they wanted him to throw. And they were just like, great, see ya, we're done with you. And good for the Brewers. The Brewers were able to pick him up, and he's been great for them. So the reason I'm bringing that up is I'm really only going to judge Kyle Harrison off of the last couple months, because you almost have to think, like, when a guy goes new organization and now they're saying, hey, I know you've been doing it like this for the past 2-3 years and you've actually had some success, but we want you to do this. I'm not even looking at those first couple starts, because again, like, that's got to be very uncomfortable for a pitcher. I'm sure TB has experienced that in his day, working close to baseball organizations. That's pitchers don't like to be like have their mechanics breaking down to a point where it's like, okay, you got to start over here, or you have to throw this pitch, not this pitch. So last 2 months for Kyle Harrison at Worcester in August, 2.35 ERA, a 235 batting average against, a 135 whip. The reason I bring that up is July was terrible for him, and June was even worse. And I believe that trade occurred. So June was when the trade occurred. So his June numbers were actually still in San Francisco, wasn't pitching well. I wonder if he maybe knew that he was about to get shipped off. And then July at Worcester was poor. Okay. September so far for him, 1 start at Worcester, 2 starts at Boston, have been the best his numbers have been all season. You got a 1.80 ERA, 231 batting average against, and a 1.20 whip. There's, last time out against the Rays, 6 innings, 1 run, the 5 strikeouts. He's hitting the zone. He's not really walking anyone. So for me, I don't want to bet against him right now, because I think that maybe he could be better than, like, if we're just, because the books have to price it kind of like we started off, where it's like, okay, well, he doesn't really go past 5 innings. These are his numbers. It's like, I'm going to throw away everything he's done at the Giants. I don't think he's the same pitcher at this point. I'm more intrigued by him and Casey Mize. I haven't been really high on Casey Mize all year. And it's like, yes, the Tigers did finally get a win yesterday, but now they got to go on the road to Fenway to face a team that also, the Red Sox maybe don't have as much pressure, but they kind of need to win here because if they lose this one, they could be in a situation where they're up against it over the weekend. Remember, the Red Sox are playing the team that could potentially catch them. And then if other things break certain way over the weekend, the Red Sox could still be on the outside looking in. So I still think it's a very big game for the Red Sox at home. I'll tell you what, I've been to these games on Friday night at Fenway late in the season before. This will be a playoff atmosphere in Boston tonight. And I think for me, guys, the Tigers, if they have a good weekend and they get into the playoffs, I'll be able to look at them next week. I need to see more than one win. So it'd be Red Sox or pass for me here. Okay. Colin Gregory says Red Sox are over. Yeah, I listen, I could see them getting after Mize. I wouldn't be that surprised if the Red Sox scored some runs in this one. I think TB kind of mentioned that as well. All right, let's move on. I want to go to another one of the big impactful games, and then we'll venture off from there. Let's go to Bryan Leonard. Let's go with the Guardians. I know the Rangers are out of it, but the Guardians still obviously need to win. They're neck and neck now with the Tigers. Both teams enter play today, tied at the top of the AL Central. So the division will be decided this weekend. How are you feeling about the Guardians going into this series? What would and then I'll also talk about the game and if you have a play here.
Yeah. With them losing yesterday, it's now the first time they've been on this great run, and they've been the hunter. Now, yesterday they were the hunted, and the bats went silent against Detroit. We'll see how it goes. This is really the first time they've been hunted since last year, maybe the year before. So they're not in that position very, very much this year. They got Cicconi's going on the mound against Leiter, both righties. Cicconi's about a 150, 155 favorite, total 7.5 to the under. There is a sports 411. There's an 8 to the under, and you're only paying 10% or 10 cents more. If you like the under, that's not a bad bet if you have that account. But it's interesting how Cleveland's already said that they're hoping they can clinch it before they get to Sunday, or they're going to have to use Williams instead of Allen. Well, you don't want to use Williams in the regular season if you don't have to, because he's been their best pitcher and he's been terrific. And they want to be able to start the playoffs with him. But if you got to win, you got to win. But hopefully, as a Cleveland fan, if they do clinch, it'll be before then. But as I mentioned, 7.5 on the total looks a little bit low. I know it's a game that Cleveland needs to have here, but Texas has played some pretty good ball, and they're still coming out. And take a look at the last 10 games. Texas, well, my mistake on Texas. They're 1-9 their last 10. They lost again yesterday. I must have been thinking of the week before that, but they've struggled lately. They're still one game over 500. And as I mentioned, everybody wants to end up 500 or better, have a winning record. So that may have some motivation there. Cicconi's pitched pretty well lately. I still don't trust him. When I take a look at the teams here from a StatCast point of view, Leiter's been a guy that I've liked. He hasn't had the wins as much as he would like. He's only 9-10 on the season, but he's 3.92 ERA, 4.61 expected, 1.31 WHIP. Extension, 89th percentile, fastball velocity, 88th, but basically everything else is below league average. He's starting to learn how to pitch in the majors. He was terrific in the minors, but he hasn't hit that clicking into the majors yet. Cicconi's very similar. Cicconi comes in with a 4.15 ERA, 5.23 expected, 1.18 WHIP. His walk rate is great, 86th percentile, but basically everything else is in the negative. Average exit velocity, first percentile, chase rate, third, barrel, third, hard hit rate, first, which means to me that I can't trust Cleveland in this price range with Cicconi. I think Leiter's a better pitcher. I know Texas isn't playing as well, but I think there's got to be another way where we could play Texas here. Let's take a team totals. Texas scores 4 runs. You got a winner. It probably plus money. That's not a bad situation. Still looking at this one. I'm a little bit concerned about Cleveland with the way they started the last game. They did come back, score a couple of runs, but if you take a look at, the last 2 weeks, they're still 28th in hitting in WRC plus at 79. Texas is still 14th at 99. So Texas is hitting better than Cleveland is. I like the starter a little bit better. Trying to find a way to play Texas in this game, but I don't know if I'll get there. Maybe if I can get this, the comeback right now, you can get as high as 142 at Pinnacle. It's about 135 to 138 everywhere else. If I can get a 145, I may end up on Texas. But other than that, I'll probably sit it out.
Guys, go to the replay of this video and leave a comment and a like for us. We'd appreciate that. Let Wager Talk know that you support the show, and they'll let us do it next year because we would love to bring this back to you next year. Regarding this game, I'm kind of along the lines of with Bryan. I would go Texas here because, well, Leiter's not a guy I generally trust, but Ciccone is a guy who, I've said it in previous shows, I always lose his games. So I fade him, he kills me. I back him, he kills me. But here, Leiter, not exactly a guy I like to back generally. I got him on a curve of 30, ranked 24. I got Ciccone ranked 22. So they're both worse than 20, which means they're both in the bottom 1/3 of starting pitchers. But the one stat that's kind of amazing is Leiter faced these guys earlier in the season. He went 7 innings in 10K and 0 earned. This is a great start. And in his career, he's pretty good. I think he had one other start besides that because he only has 24 at bats against. So he's probably got 2 starts, but a 125 average and a 292 OPS, pretty amazing. 2 starts. I don't know if he's going to duplicate that effort, but we know he certainly has potential to hold the Cleveland bats down here. Maybe a Cleveland team total first 5 under 1.5, maybe. Haven't done it yet because 1.5s are, I mean, in MLB, just a little bloop and a blast and boom, your bet's done. Right. So, and he did that at home, the 7 innings. This time he's on the road and he's got a 4+ ERA on the road, whereas home ERA is 3. So yeah, might do it, might not. But if I were to do it, I would do it that way.
Cody says, Adam, great pick yesterday. That is absolutely sarcastic. I got crushed yesterday. I got to wear that. Hey, every once in a while, you just have a trash day. Got to own up to it. I kind of knew I was cooked right up like early in the day. I loved Hanwha. It was one of my favorite KBO bets of the last couple of weeks. They were like dead on arrival, down 7-0. Then I had the Diamondbacks crushed. And so I knew, Bryan, Tokyo Brandon, that when the Cardinals tied that game, I had Cardinals plus 1.5. I'm watching it with Mallory. I said, they got to go for 2 or I'm going to lose. She said, what do you mean? They just tied the game. I said, just wait. You'll see. I said, Marist Red Fox, Jason Myers is not missing a second field goal. And sure enough, he banged the winner to hand me an 0-3 day. The reason I even bring that up, I think the one thing I did sort of nail yesterday was that Pirates-Reds game, and the fact that there was the need to win tax was very strong on the Reds. And if you had basically played it any other way than like Pirates money line, Pirates plus 1.5, unders, the play I really gave out in that game was the Reds team total under on the show, which cashed, you would have won. And that's how I'm going to look at this game. So I can't possibly back the Rangers right here. Reason being, I think they've kind of given up on the season, 1-9 in their last 10 games. Playing on the road, they really haven't played. They haven't played inspired ball over the last couple weeks, and who knows how much they even really want to be here. Right? Season's over. We've talked about this team a couple times this year being 25 guys, 25 Cavs. Not the most tight knit group. If you listen to Kevin Pillar, and who knows, one more weekend they get to go on their way. Not exactly the profile I want to back. That being said, if it wasn't for that, I would think that there was a ton of value on the Rangers here because matchup-wise, this matchup absolutely favors the Rangers. I think Leiter is a substantially better option than Ciccone. I know Ciccone's pitched well, better than I could have ever imagined, but like a lot of value here. on the Rangers side. So the way I'm going to look at this one, I'm going to look for under 4. Team total, Guardians team total under 4. It is probably, I think you're going to see some plus money 3.5s out there right now. Under 4 is probably like minus 110, minus 115. Reason I like that is because I personally like Leiter. I think I've been talking about guys like this on the show the last couple weeks, guys that I have on a list that I'm going to probably like next year if they have a good offseason. McGreevy was one of them. We talked about one the other day, but Leiter is on that list for me. I really think that the Rangers last year did him no favors. The way they brought him up, sent it back down, brought him up, sent it back down, short notice, 27th man in a doubleheader. This year was shaky early on. He's actually been very good, I would say, second half of the season. And the thing with him is because he's been up here more than at AAA, and I think that might have to do with like where he was drafted, the last name, of course, he's, the baseball Leiter lineage. They want him at the big league level. Like he's a high draft pick and a name. I think he would have benefited from more time down at AAA, developing that slider, that changeup, that sinker, that second pitch, because his fastball is great. He's got a great fastball. He's going to throw 97, 98. Fastball looks awesome. It's really the secondary stuff, but that stuff started to improve. So I like him to have a decent start here. And then you talk about the Guardians and what Bryan was pointing out, like kind of on this dream run over a couple of weeks, maybe back to reality a little bit after last night. And suddenly they wake up today and it's like, like we were pursuing the Tigers all this time. We overtook them. Now we're tied for the division lead. Like now it's a must-win game. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see them play a little tight. And I don't think that necessarily costs them the game, but I think it could make it so they have to win like 3-2, 2-1. It could be like a lower scoring game. Or Leiter comes out and shoves and suddenly maybe they lose a game 4-1 and they're in trouble. Either way, I think that under 4 Guardians team total is a good bet. So that's the way I would look at this one. Okay, let's go to, let me get back to the chat here. I was on the wrong chat screen and I haven't looked at any of your guys' requests. So let's see if we can, all right, here we go. We can talk about this team. Russell Deck says, can the Yankees go deep? So we had the Yankees clinched, I believe, the other day. They're going to take on the Orioles today. So we got Yankees, Orioles in the Bronx. Trevor Rogers. Bryan, we had this matchup, I believe, last week. Actually, I think TV was still on the show the last time we talked. Trevor Rogers versus Will Warren. I want to say we won a bet in that game, or maybe like talked about how it was like maybe Rogers' first 5 and he pitched well. Anyway, Yankees, not quite as meaningful as the last couple weeks for them, but I just want to see here. They are still just trying to get the division standings up. For some reason, I'm on multiple different screens.
They're tied with Toronto. They need to win the division to get the bye in the first round.
Perfect. Yes, they're tied with Toronto. 5 straight wins for the Yankees. So let's talk Yankees-Orioles. Why don't you tell me what you think about how this division ends up and also talk about the Yankees-Orioles, this matchup tonight?
Yeah. As the show ended yesterday, we had a couple of words, and I said I like Toronto in the game and just didn't have the balls to play it. And sure enough, they come out and got the victory. That was huge for them. If they'd lost that game, then that was a must-win for them. They've got Bieber on the mound today, and they're pretty substantial favorites. So, but the Yankees, Rogers against Warren, and Rogers the lefty. Warren's a guy that's been up and down all year long. He's very good or very bad. And the Yankees are about a 145, 150 favorite here. Total 8.5 to the under or 8 to the over. And Rogers has been fantastic. He's thrown 106 innings now, and he's got a 1.35 ERA, 3.07 expected, 0.87 WHIP. His hard hit rate still, it's amazing. He's got that 1.35 ERA. Obviously, he's been lucky based on the expected ERA, but his hard hit rate is in the 5th percentile. He's still getting hit a little bit. He's not giving up barrels. He's in the 80th percentile of barrels. So he's been hard to explain this year, but he's been very good. And as I said earlier this season, we gave the Orioles a lot lot of crap for making that trade, but they were right. I was wrong, and I'll admit it. He's been very good. The Yankees are going with Will Warren. He's got a 4.35 ERA, 4.55 expected, 1.37 whip, career whip of 1.44. That's what really hurts him. His extension is very good, 81st percentile, but everything else is either league average or worse. Average exit velocity, 8th percentile, chase, 8th percentile. So when I look at those two things, 8.5 may be a little bit of a lower number. Problem is Baltimore's not really hitting well right now. Baltimore's ranked 21st in WRC plus the last 2 weeks at 91. Yankees are hitting well. They're at 129. Yankees and the Mets are the top two. Something in the air in New York, and is other than pollution. But it's a situation where obviously the Yankees got more to play for, but Rogers has been right there all season long. He's been very good. In the second half of the game, if Rogers only goes 5 and flies, there's really no reason for Baltimore to extend him. They're out of the playoffs, and he's going to be a key piece for them next year. It wouldn't surprise me if he just goes 5 and flies. If he does, I think the Yankees got the best bet on the second half of that game, but we'll have to see what the score is. But Baltimore's not hitting, and they may at this point. They had a pretty good run there for a while. They're still 6-4 of their last 10. They did get the victory yesterday, so they're not giving up. The young guys continue to play well. I can't seem to find an edge on this game, so I'm going to pass it.
Yeah, Rogers has been great. I liked him even when he was in Miami. I thought he was pretty good. He's excelled this year. Excuse me, still a little groggy from the flight. He's been good, very good. He's been a bright spot on a team that hasn't had a lot of bright spots. Will Warren has one of the biggest discrepancies in Major League Baseball between home and away. He's a great home pitcher, 3.3 ERA, and away he's got a 5.8 ERA. At home, he pitches really well. Against these Orioles, his stats are pretty average in his career, but Trevor Rogers against these Yankees, amazing stats, 52 at bats against, 135 average and a 462 OPS. Amazing numbers here. Can he do it today against the number 6 lineup in Major League Baseball in current form? Not sure about that, but the good news is the Yankees team total in the first 5 is 2.5, which I think is pretty high. I don't see Rogers giving up 3 runs to these guys. I could see him giving up 2, but I don't think 3. So I think the Yankees team total first 5 innings under 2.5 would be a decent play here. Their team total for the whole game is 4.5, but then you have to trust the Oriole bullpen, which I have them ranked 16 right now. I'd rather just bet on Trevor Rogers not giving up 3 runs. I think that might be a decent play.
I'm with you, TB. I was going to say I'd rather just bet on Trevor Rogers here. First 5, you can get Orioles first 5, half a run, -120. That's a really good bet. Or you could just take the plus money, +120. I think I'd rather have that half run. That's a great bet in my opinion. Orioles first 5, half a run, -120. I saw at one book. I mean, even if if you could find like a -115, my gut says you probably find worse. That -120 is probably a good number. But I mean, listen, let's say he knows he's only probably out there for 5 innings or something, like he's going to give it, he's going to try go out there, wipe him out. He's going to, leave it out there. He's not going to pitch again the rest of the year. So you'd have to think that he comes and has his sort of best stuff for that performance. I know they just saw him, but I watched that game. They did nothing again. I mean, they were totally clueless against him a week ago. 6 shutout innings. The Yankees had 1 hit. I think they maybe drew 2 walks in the game. So, yeah, they could potentially adjust, I suppose. But are you really like how much are you going to figure out about Trevor Rogers in 6 days? Like his stuff has been straight up ridiculous since he was sort of called back up and put in the starting rotation. I think Bryan made the point the other day that had he been up longer, like he'd be in the mix for Cy Young this year. The only reason he's not in the Cy Young conversation is because he didn't really start his big league season until June. right? Other than that, like he's been as good as any other starting pitcher in the league. Like you're going to give me him against Will Warren, who's inconsistent and could give up a crooked number, first 5, and you're going to give me the bailout of the fact that if we're tied after 5 innings, my bet still wins. I like that bet. So Orioles plus a half, first 5. I don't know if it's my parlay leg, but it's the one I like the most of anything we've talked about so far. Sorry, Brian, were you going to jump in there?
I was just going to say that it's 120 minus 120 everywhere. So that's
okay.
If I was to play this game, I think that's a pretty good way to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, I that was surprising to me. I thought they would have really like taxed you for wanting Trevor Rogers in the first 5. I expected that for Orioles first 5 to be like minus 140 for the plus a half run, but because the game line is where it is, I think it's got to keep it in check a little bit. And yeah, I think that you're getting great value on an Orioles first 5 plus a half a run there. All right, we had now that as soon as I said got to go to the chat to get a game, like 5 people are like, you better talk about this day game. And so we're going to talk about the day game. The schedule makers probably thought they cooked with this matchup, Brian. Cardinals, Cubs, last weekend of the season, everything on the line. The Brewers said, nope, this division's going to be put away by now. And this game may be a little anticlimactic for Cards, Cubs, because, of course, the Cubs are kind of they're already in. The Cardinals are going nowhere. So not quite the huge division sort of battle to close out the season that I think people had hoped for. But nonetheless, it's Cardinals, Cubs. It's Wrigley Field, 2 p.m. Eastern start, day game at Wrigley. Are you getting involved in this one at all?
Mikolas against Ray is going in this one. Ray's about a 160, 163 favorite, let's say, with a total of 9 to the under. One of the things with St. Louis, they were still playing some pretty good ball. They were trying to finish with a winning record. They cannot now. I believe the best they can do is finish with a 500 record. They come in at 78 and 81. So that goal, having a winning record, is out the door. So that may lessen it a little bit. But the Cubs got nothing to play for. They're locked in. So I really don't know which way to go about this. I'm not a fan of either pitcher, although Ray's gotten more out of his ability than Mikolas has. Although Mikolas, second half of the season, he seems to do this every year. He's a guy that you wonder when he's pitching why he's in the major leagues. But he does get on these streaks where he's been pretty good, and he's been better in the second half. On the season, when we take a look at Mikolas, he comes in with a 4.76 ERA, 5.30 expected, 1.33 whip. He's good at walking people. He's in the 90th percentile. Other than that, everything's below average. Barrel rate, 3rd percentile. Whiff rate, 2nd. Strikeout rate, 4th. He is not a good pitcher. And he would have a hard time next year finding a place to pitch if he is no longer with St. Louis. But maybe they have a couple good guys in the minors that they could bring up. But we'll see what happens. We thought we were going to see more of them this year. They didn't see it. Colin Ray, 10-7 record, 12-6 record last year, but he's not been overly impressive. 4.10 ERA, 4.77 expected, 1.28 whip. His walk rate's pretty good in the 72nd percentile, 6'5", so his extension's pretty well in the 70th. But once again, all his other numbers are below league average. Barrel rate, 14th percentile, expected batting average, 13th, expected ERA, 16th. When you take a look at the ballpark factors in this game for the Cubs, the wind is going all over. It's swirling right now. They've got them at plus 1% higher than normal for Wrigley Field, which if you followed the last few days, the wind had been blowing in. So it's a little bit better hitting area than it was, environment than it was the last few days. Don't know if I'll get there with the 9. There is a couple 8.5s out there, 8.5 over 120, 121. And that would be the only way I would go here is take a look at the offenses. But the need just isn't there for Chicago right now. And St. Louis, what do they have to play for? So there's not a lot jumping out on me on today's card. Hopefully I'll have something for clients by the time we're done with the show. But right now, everything seems to be priced similar to what I would have priced it. And if there's no value, there's no value. And unfortunately, in this game, there's no value for me.
Yeah, these are two pitchers who both pitched in Japan around 5 years ago. Ray played for the SoftBank Hawks, and Mikolas played for the Yomiuri Giants. But neither one were very impressive out here. They've been better since they went back to the U.S., especially Rhea. But head-to-head matchups, man, Mikolas has been clobbered by these guys. He's got a 310 average against and a 847 OPS. He played in Major League, went to Japan, went to Mexico, I think, and then he came back here to the U.S. or out there to the U.S. So some of those stats might be a little misleading from his first go around. But Rhea, man, he's been awesome against these batters. A 161 average against and a 499 OPS. So advantage Rhea in this matchup for sure. Like Bryan said, neither team really has much to play for, but the pitchers don't care. The pitchers are playing to keep their ERAs down. I think my first instinct would be, okay, let's take the Cubs or the St. Louis under, but St. Louis is crushing the ball right now. I love how some of these teams get hot right when they're out of the playoffs. You know, it's kind of funny. Like St. Louis is one of them. They're getting hot right now for some reason. They're hitting pretty well. And so I don't really want to take their under in that one. Don't really want to take the Cubs. You know, when both teams have their exits from the playoffs or their playoff seeding already set up, there's too many X factors for me. So if anything, I would take the Cubs here, but I probably won't.
So that I'll play off of the point you just made there. Yeah, I think that could also trickle into bullpen usage. I think we could see teams a little bit liberal with their bullpen usage here today in terms of like who gets what innings. I don't think they're really trying to stress any, especially the Cubs are going to have to play baseball next week. So you may not see like them unload high leverage relievers. I guess the point I'm trying to make here is I feel like the over is a good bet. Going back to what Bryan said, what did you say the park factors were for this game from a weather standpoint, Bryan?
Just 1% better than normal, but it's been better than it has been the last few days.
Well, yeah, and the other thing I think is worth pointing out, the Cubs dropped 2 of 3 from the Mets. No big deal there, obviously, because they're sort of locked into their seating. But my takeaway from that series, having watched a lot of that series, is dare we say the Cubs are heating up right now? I mean, this is an offense that really hasn't been great in the second half, right? Like if you look at the season arc for the Cubs, red hot out of the gate, won a whole bunch of games. I thought this lineup was world beaters out of the gate, right? I mean, you had Pete Crow Armstrong, felt like every time he was coming to the plate, he was getting a hit. They were scoring a bunch of runs. And then for a couple of months, it was very much the opposite. I felt like they had to win games with pitching. They just weren't getting those big time crooked innings and the big scoring outbursts. And suddenly the last 3 days, 22 runs in 3 games against the Mets, better pitching than they're going to see here, right? Like, had to get, they saw McClain yesterday, Jonah Tong in that series. They blew him up. Yeah, granted, he's, whatever, he's a young guy, but still, I think they saw better pitching top to bottom from the Mets than they're going to see this weekend from the Cardinals. You start with Mikolas. I mean, we all kind of agree that he's kind of a, he's in the twilight of his career, kind of a veteran guy that's just there to eat up innings at this point. Tokyo Brandon pointed out the Cardinals, they're swinging the bats reasonably well, for a team that's out of it. They've hit with runners in scoring position and they're generating some offense. So 9 flat seems light here for me. 8.5 would have been a no-brainer, but like right now, it looks like you can get over 9 even money some places. I think that's a good bet. So I think the over is a solid play. I personally make it 9.5. And that is like the key threshold for an over, in my opinion. 9 to 9.5 is like the biggest jump from a, if you're talking about an over, because once you're at 9.5, you take 4 bailing you out, doesn't bail you out anymore. So I like the over. Go ahead, Bryan.
Is it possible that I could throw out a game right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Without any plays in the parlay
sure.
yet. There is one game I do have some interest in. Tampa Bay is playing Toronto. Hauser against Bieber. Right now, Toronto is about a 180 favorite. Total 7.5 to the over, 8 to the under. There's a few games like Cincinnati right now, even though they need to win, there's a little bit of value on them. They're not taking in money because they're playing Milwaukee. And the other one is Tampa Bay here. Hauser's going for Tampa Bay. He has not been the same for Tampa that he had been in Chicago, but I'm not overly impressed by what Bieber has done. Now, granted, he's come back from injury. It's going to take him a while, but you're playing a pretty good tax here on Toronto in a must-win game because they're tied with the Yankees to win the division. But while it could be considered a must-win game, they've already clinched their spot in the playoffs. They're 100% in the playoffs. The Yankees 100% in the playoffs. Obviously, they want to win the division because you want to get that bye. But is this line? I mean, do you really want to lay 180 with Toronto the way they've been playing? Both teams are 4-6 the last 10 games. If you take a look at the run differential on the season, Toronto's up 62, Tampa Bay's up 46. Tampa Bay is also only 2 games ahead of Baltimore with 3 games to go. Could you imagine Tampa Bay ending up the season that they started off having and they end up in last place in that division? I think there's a little bit of value here on the underdog. If you take a look at, where did I put this thing? Statcast. Okay. Adrian Hauser on the season, 3.18 ERA, 4.08 expected. I would use that more than his actual ERA, 1.27 WHIP, but he's in the 82nd percentile in barrel rate, ground ball rate, 80th percentile, and extension 80th percentile. Now his whiff rate's in the 3rd percentile, hard hit rate is a 6, strikeout rate 16th. He's not a major strikeout guy. He does throw 5 pitches, and he does throw a sinker 46% of the time. When you're throwing your sinker, you're going to give up, not going to give up many home runs, and that's one of the reasons why he's had success this year. Shane Bieber comes in with a 3.57 ERA, 4.22 expected, 0.96 WHIP. He's always been a very good WHIP, 1.11 in his career. He has only thrown 35 innings, so a lot of his numbers have not stabilized, but his fastball velocity is really down. He's in the 23rd percentile. He only throws 92.6 on his four-seamer, which he uses twice as much as any other pitch. And the league average from a red hitter is 95, so he doesn't have that velocity. His average exit velocity given up, his barrel rate, and his hard hit rate have all been bad. He does get hit pretty hard. Do I really want to play Toronto in this situation with I don't see much of a starting pitching edge for Bieber in this game. So I'm going to take Tampa Bay in this game. I could get them. Let's just go about 159, and I'm going to use that as my parlay. 159 for Tampa Bay, and Toronto from a bullpen perspective. Let me just check that real quick. Toronto yesterday, they had the bullpen game, so they had Hoffman 23 pitches, Dominguez 16, and Rodriguez 5. They hadn't pitched in the last 3 days. I'm not too worried about that. But it's a situation for me where there's in a card that I don't see a lot of value on. I think there's a little bit of value on Tampa Bay, and I think the Reds have a little bit of value. Other than that, nothing's jumping out at me today. So I'll use the Tampa Bay here.
Guys, go to wagertalk.com, see what we have up. I'm going to put my MLB play up right after the show. Probably will have a free play, and I'm sure my colleagues here will also have a free play or a play up today. So take a look at what we got. Go to the video replay and leave a comment. We look at them all, and we answer most of them. Regarding this game, I'm 100% aligned with Bryan here. Toronto is the only team I have that ranks 23rd or worse in all batting categories and all bullpen categories. So that's not good. They do have a pitching advantage, in my opinion. I got Bieber ranked 12, where I got Hauser ranked 18. So, but 12 and 18, not a huge discrepancy. So if anything, I would go with Tampa perhaps, or maybe even the Toronto team total under perhaps, because they've just been ice cold behind the plate. I don't know why. I don't know if I'll get to it or not, and I don't know why I like Tampa here, but for some odd reason, seems like they can't win unless Rasmussen's pitching. But they have every advantage here, in my opinion. So take them a +1.5 or something, somehow. Take them and fade the Toronto Bats is what I would be doing.
Yeah, Rays +1.5 is a great bet in my opinion. Like if you're talking about, it
Better
price
bullpen.
wise, it's a little out of the range I would prefer. I would say if this came down, but here's the thing: like the need to win tax is alive and well here on the Jays, right? Like that's probably, but so two things. One, the books are pricing in the need to win for the Jays. Two, the Blue Jays tend to be a little bit inflated when they play at home anyway. I'll be interested to see how this sort of goes throughout the day. If the Blue Jays take like more money and drive that price down even more, it would be hard for me to not get involved with the Rays here. So let me talk about Adrian Hauser for a minute, because that kind of makes a handicap for me. So this is a guy that I not intentionally, but it was just something I kind of picked up along the way watching minor league baseball this year, and then kind of decided to follow his season. He started the year in the Rangers organization. He was throwing the ball so good at Round Rock that the AAA manager, who they interviewed like before one of the Round Rock games, I just happened to have it on because I was waiting for the game to start. They talked to the AAA manager, and he pretty much like almost was like, man, I wish he could have like maybe not thrown as well yesterday, because they were about to put him on. He was going to have to go on waivers, and they were going to need to sign him to a new minor league contract. And I think he was like joking to an extent. I don't think he wants him to pitch poorly, but it was like he went out and threw 8 shutout innings, and it almost like alerted the league to like, oh, who's this? Like, oh, this guy's out here. Because remember, Adrian Hauser's a veteran guy. I think he's just thrilled to be back in the big leagues in a starting rotation. That's the vibe I got from him earlier in the year. He just wanted a chance. He gets to the White Sox. They interviewed him like early on during his time with the White Sox, which was very good. He was playing meaningless ball for the White Sox. So again, none of those games had any meaning. The Sox, when they picked him up, were 30 games under 500, and he threw the ball great. And he was just very grateful to be back in a rotation, because, you get to his age, you don't know if you're going to get back into a starting rotation. So he was thrilled for the opportunity. He's thrown it well. He's now on the Rays. He continues to throw the ball well. Ground ball percentage is great. He's got he doesn't get a ton of swing and miss, but if you keep the ball on the ground and you're not getting totally smoked from like a hard hit standpoint, you're typically okay. And he does seem to give up some hard contact. But again, if you're keeping the ball on the ground, it tends to not be the end of the world. Like, sometimes you might get blown up, but usually you're all right. That's what last time out against the Red Sox, quality start. Start before, quality start against the Cubs. Start before that, 5 1/3 against the White Sox, was 9 strikeouts. Start before that, 7 innings, 4 runs, 8 strikeouts against the Mariners. Go back his whole season. There's very few times that he's just pitched bad, right? It's pretty much like he goes out 5-6 innings. It's solid, gives his team a chance to win. I'll go back to what both of you guys said about the Blue Jays. We talked about this yesterday. This lineup has been poor for a couple of weeks, like for a few weeks now. And now they're in the spot where they're going to feel like they need to generate offense, need to win. We've got the Yankees. We're tied with the Yankees. We had this lead for all this time, and now we're about to lose the division on the last weekend of the season. I don't like that at all for the Jays at this price. I think that this is a crazy price for them. So I'm with you guys. And if Bryan didn't throw it in the parlay, I might have. So I think it's I think you're on to something with the Rays for sure. Good. I want to go to a chat comment quick. Fixer says, Rays were up 5-2 in the 8th versus Orioles, and instead of sending their best relievers, they left some pitcher in there, knowing when he was getting hit up. Not a team that should be betting even for the price. This is kind of what I'm talking about, though, with some of these teams. It's like, yes, the Rays' focus right now is not like burning out every relief arm. So that could have been a scenario where they just wanted to see what a guy had. But it's like you're still going to see them mix up. You're still going to see them mix up the relievers. You're probably going to see the guys that didn't pitch yesterday. So I don't think that's a reason to say like, oh, okay, like they're just out there trying to tank games. It's just, that's why I think you're getting plus 160. You're going to have to live with a little of that. I think you can live with it here. Go ahead, Bryan.
Yeah, Wednesday they used their best 5 relievers. They didn't use them yesterday. So that may have been the case. Kevin Kelly was out there. He blew it last night. He's their 6th best reliever, at least He's a middle reliever. But that the games, like the wins losses, don't mean as much for Tampa as obviously they would for Toronto. But I could see why they did that yesterday. That way, the rest of the weekend series, they would be able to use any of their guys at any time. So that's a good point that the listener made, but I'm not reading too much into that.
Russell, yeah, we'll be on through the playoffs. Same show, same time, same place. As long as they're playing baseball, we're going to do the show. As it gets to the end of the playoffs, the show may be a little bit shorter because, of course, we'll have less games. But, yeah, same show, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern through the playoffs. All right, Tokyo Brandon, do you have a game you want to talk about for the parlay, or do you know what did your parlay leg come from a game that we've already discussed?
Yeah, I think. By the way, I have a new appreciation for what Bryan's doing after I spent 2 or 10 days waking up at 6 a.m. to do the show. Couldn't drink this while I was doing that, but I can do it now. It's Friday night. So, by the way, this apple is really good. Anyways, I like regular better though, but apple's pretty good. I'm going to do the Yankees game. Can I do a first 5 team total, or do people not get that?
No, you can do it. People can adjust if they need to adjust, but yeah, you're good to go there.
I like the Yankees under 2.5 in the first 5. It's -140 where I'm seeing it. And you guys out there, if you can't get that, then you can take the Yankees team total under 4.5 for the game. But I like the first 5 better. So that's going to be my leg of the parlay.
Yeah, and if you can't, if you want another option, again, like I was thinking about using Orioles plus a half run in the first 5 for my leg. I'm not going to do it now because you've used the game already. But like that is, if you can't get that team total, that's another option where you're essentially betting on Trevor Rogers, which is kind of what Tokyo Brandon is doing with his first 5 bet, which I very much agree with. So I think you're good either way.
And I'm also going to be a pig and suggest a game that we do right now.
Go ahead. That's fine. Go ahead.
I want to know what you guys think about Jason Alexander from Seinfeld. Astros going against the Angels today. I actually have Kyle Hendricks ranked higher than Alexander, but I don't think that can be true. Could it? No, I have them pretty equal. And I have the Astros better at the Angels at almost everything, but just a little bit better. The Astros had only scored 7 runs in 5 games until yesterday. They just blew up for 11 or something like that. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think about the Astros, because I'm tempted to take them, but I haven't done it yet just because they've been playing a little suspect lately. So what do you think, Bryan?
Yeah, if they weren't playing the Angels I think have given up, but the line's too high, if you ask me. Houston Alexander against Hendricks for LA. You're looking at basically Houston's about a 130, 132 favorite, something to that effect. Total of 9. Jason Alexander comes in, and he's got a 4.83 ERA, 4.70 expected, 1.39 WHIP. That's his major problem, is his WHIP. But if you look at his StatCast page, ground ball rate 66th percentile. That's good, but he's first percentile in chase rate, 10th percentile hard hit rate, 10th percentile in fastball velocity. He's a guy who can get hit, and that's the kind of people that the Angels could have some success against. Now you look at Kyle Hendricks, and I understand why your numbers have him a little bit better, because as opposed to Alexander, he's got a lot of red on his StatCast page, 95th percentile in average exit velocity, 81st in chase rate, 76th in walk rate, 91st in hard hit rate. The problem, similar to Alexander, fastball velocity only in the first percentile. He only throws 79.5 miles an hour on his change, and 86 on his sinker, and 86 on his four-seam. So he's below average by about 9 miles an hour on his four-seamer. His whiff rate, 3rd percentile, strikeout rate, 7th in extension. But despite being 6'3", having an extension of in the first percentile is kind of strange. But he's a guy who is having I guess, a decent season, considering they got him for basically nothing. And he's given them good innings all season long. But do you trust the Angels right now from a hitting standpoint? They are second to last, again, right above Colorado with a 77 WRC plus the last 2 weeks. And Houston's a team that has not been hitting much better. The bottom, here's your bottom for the last 2 weeks in WRC plus, going from bottom to top. Colorado, the Angels, Cleveland, Houston, Pittsburgh, Washington, St. Louis, Cincinnati, Chicago White Sox. Not a lot of good hitting in that group, and most of them are out of the playoffs except for Cincinnati and Houston and Cleveland. They all have weak situations from the hitters, and I talked about yesterday, Houston, their best hitter has been hurt, their leadoff hitter. So, yeah, if I played it, I'd play the Angels, but I'd feel a little bit more confident if Houston was playing another team that was playing a little bit better ball right now. But I don't want to lay 130 in that range on the road with Houston right now. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as well. I have no issues playing against the Astros. I haven't really liked Alexander all year. I feel like he's pitched over his head a little bit. Not really an MLB rotation piece, in my opinion. Like, he's someone I would want to go against. But the Angels they've been a tough team to back for a couple of weeks now. Run differential on the season minus 150. Yeah, but that's the thing. We had this conversation on one of the days, the last couple of days, and like for the first 3 or 4 months of the year, they really were going out there, giving an effort, winning games, hanging around 500. I never thought it was realistic, and it's now the last couple of months is what I thought we were going to see from them all year. I mean, they're going to end up where I thought they would probably end up, actually probably a little bit better. I didn't think the Angels were going to get to 70 wins this season. So the fact that they're at 71, they've been better than I could have imagined they would be, but all of the bad is right now. Like, all of the bad is the last couple weeks. So go ahead, Brian. What were you going to say?
Well, we haven't had a lot of comedy on the show. It's 6:00 in the morning out here in Vegas. But since Jason Alexander is pitching for Houston today, you could say the Houston Bats have had a little bit of shrinkage second half of the season.
Yeah.
Shrinkage.
Listen, that was one of the big points I made. I cashed my Mariners AL West bet. And one of the reasons I liked that was, looking at Houston's lineup, I'm like, this looks like Sugarland's lineup, and this team's 20 games over 500. How is that even possible?
Yep.
Well, it really wasn't possible, at least for them to keep that going. Now, the Astros, one thing I'll give the Astros here is that as an organization, they have a culture of winning, okay? Yeah. That they are an organization that tends to win the big game. They have a winning culture, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if they go out, sweep the Angels this weekend, and they're the final team in the wild card, and suddenly they're a pain in the playoffs, because it's just the culture that's been built in that Astros organization for the past 10 years. It makes this a very challenging handicap, because if I'm looking at the starting pitchers, there's more to like about Hendricks. The one thing I've said about Hendricks all year, he's a numbers accumulator. So when you look at his numbers, he's out there accumulating stats because he's very consistent. He's throwing strikes. He's not giving up a ton of, or really doesn't give up much hard contact. But a pitcher like that who throws 86, if they are bad, they're going to get crushed. And that's what we saw when he faced the Mariners 2 starts ago. 9 runs, 10 hits, 3 1/3. Hasn't had that many of those this year, but the potential is always there for Hendricks to have a start like that. Again, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I think I'm with Bryan. I'd love to find a way to play the Angels. I just don't have any faith in them as a team right now. So I'm out on this one. But I will close out our parlay with that Cubs-Cardinals over. That's going to be where I'm going to go for the parlay. Bryan, what am I looking at for a market price on that right now? Is it 9 still?
Current number for the Cubs and St. Louis, it's 9 over minus 104 or something in that range.
Yeah, that's moving a little bit toward where I expected it to move. There was when we got on the show, you could have got a couple of 9 plus monies. I didn't think that would hang around very long, and it hasn't. Just Feel like it could be a little bit of a free-for-all type game at Wrigley. Neither team's desperate to win. Cubby's starting to swing the bat well. And if you missed us talk about that game, as always, this show is up live and on demand on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. You can head back and see our full breakdown of Cubs Cardinals, but that's where I'm going to go for the parlay. So let's get a price here. It's the last three. This is going to be a good price. Bryan Leonard's like, we're not effing around. Last one of the regular season, we're going to throw minus or plus 160 in there. So this actually might come out to be the biggest price we've had. Well, no, not so much. Forgot there was minus 140 on that under 2.5. Bryan, is that what we said for the team total? Minus 140 Yankees team total under 2.5.
Is that first five?
First five. Sorry, yeah.
Team total Yankees. Yeah, 2.5 minus 140.
It's not the biggest one we've had because we've had a couple 9-1 shots this year. I do remember that off the top of my head, but plus 767. What a way to end the regular season if we can hit this. It's going to be, so my leg will go during the day. So I guess we'll know early if we're alive or not. Cubs Cardinals over 9 in the day game. Tokyo Brandon is going with Yankees first 5 under 2.5. That's a team total. So Yankees team total under 2.5 in the first 5. Bryan Leonard says Rays money line. That's just Rays plus 159, plus 160, whatever you can get it at. Obviously, shop it around. That's going to come out plus 767 odds. So one more time. Cubs Cardinals over 9. Yankees first 5 team total under 2.5. Rays money line. Would be a great way to end the season if we can get it done. Go ahead, Bryan.
What's our year to date going into today on these parlays?
While
Year to
he's
date going
looking that up, let me remind everyone that Wager Talk allows us to put MLB plays out for $9 now if they're not 5% plays.
Yeah.
So if Bryan, Adam, or I have an MLB play out today, they will be $9. So if they're not a 5%. So go to wagertalk.com and see what MLB we have up for $9.
So to answer your question, Bryan, up 3.14 units, or if you were to play that, if you were to play them evenly for the same amount all year, $1 has returned $3.14. So not bad. Again, the fact that we're even ahead on these is incredible.
We'll end the regular season with a winning record, which is pretty impressive.
Yep.
When we get to the playoffs and there's only a certain amount of games, it's going to be honest with you, it's going to be tougher. We may have to use some player props or something.
Or what we'll see how it goes. I think we could always just, if we kind of agree on something, we could almost do like a consensus type thing where it's like, oh, we like this one, and maybe we only end up with a 2-teamer. But yeah, we could always do that as well. We'll see how it goes. Let's see how today goes. And of course, early next week, I think we should have, we're going to have options. There should be 4 games a day, at least for a couple of days. My guess is we'll be back on Tuesday. I don't think there's games on Monday. Is that correct? Is Monday off?
I have not looked yet.
So yeah, just to give you an update on.
Yeah.
So Monday we will not have a show because it's a league-wide off day. The playoffs start Tuesday, so we will be back Tuesday, 9 a.m. Eastern, 4 games in the play-in round, and we will be with you, I believe, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because Friday is also an off day. So that's the schedule for next week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, normal show, full hour, 9 a.m. Eastern. We'll be breaking down the wild card round of the playoffs. And hope you have a great weekend. Let's hit one more parlay. Cash all your tickets. Don't forget, $9 MLB plays up on all of our pages. And we'll see you guys Tuesday.